All right, man, peace. So for those of you brothers who've been on my platforms for a while now, you know that I do follow the sport of boxing. And for anyone who's familiar with many of the protocols of the sport of boxing, it's normally customary, especially in high-profile fights, for both combatants to do their best to utilize some type of psychological manipulation or mental ploys to gain an advantage over their opponent, especially when they deem their opponent to be some type of high-level threat to them. And you see it in other sports as well. In basketball, for example, many times Phil Jackson would say certain things in press conferences to try to influence the referees, especially if he knew the Bulls were going to be, engaging in a series against a team that was very physical, like an Indiana Pacers team in 98, or the Knicks in 92 and 93, or the Pistons in 1990. He knew going into the series that it was going to be very tough. So sometimes he might say disparaging things about the opposing team's coach, whether it be Chuck Daly or Pat Riley, or even Larry Bird sometimes. And Larry Bird might strike back and say something about Phil Jackson. But when the series is over, you shake hands and you move on. In boxing, heading into certain matches, Ray Leonard or Floyd Mayweather might say certain things about their opponent that might be deemed disparaging. During the fight, you go all out. You try to knock him out. He's trying to knock you out. When the fight's over, you shake hands, you hug. And, typically Floyd Mayweather might say things like, oh, no, he's a great fighter. He gave it his all. Things of that nature. You start to become very complimentary because that former opponent is no longer a threat. In the case of LeBron James, I think that he still is in wonderment about Steph Curry. He knew who Steph Curry was, circa, 2009, 2010 when Steph Curry was still at Davidson, because LeBron James went to Davidson to watch Stephen Curry play. And on an esoteric three-dimensional level, there is a pseudo-twinning between LeBron and Steph Curry. It's very obvious that they were placed under the same programming. They were both birthed at the same programming hub in Akron, Ohio, but that's a whole other issue for another day because that's a three-dimensional video. From a two-dimensional perspective, I still think that LeBron James has a certain degree of amazement about Steph Curry because, to the naked eye, he's not someone who should be anywhere near as dominant a player as he is. LeBron James many times would lavish Steph Curry with platitudes when he first entered into the NBA, especially when he started to rise in prominence starting from 2012. But Stephen Curry's rise was so meteoric that it was shocking to almost everyone watching the sport, not just LeBron James. In the 2011-2012 season, I think that was the year where Stephen Curry had such debilitating injuries to his ankles that some thought that his career was in jeopardy. In 2012-2013, he played at an all-star level but did not make the team. His team made the playoffs, the Golden State Warriors I'm talking about. They shocked the Denver Nuggets in the first round. I think that led to George Karl getting fired, even though that was the year that he won the Coach of the Year, if I remember correctly. In the next round, the Golden State Warriors were actually able to steal 2 games from the San Antonio Spurs, who would go on to, of course, lose to LeBron James and the Heat in the finals that year, a finals that they should have won. The next year, in 2014, Stephen Curry not only makes the All-Star team, but I think that he led the Western Conference in All-Star voting, with LeBron James leading all voters overall. So that was a major step upward for Stephen Curry. The Golden State Warriors, they lose, of course, in the first round of the playoffs to the LA Clippers. That was really a second round level matchup. They just happened to, unfortunately, draw the Clippers in the first round. The next year, of course, we all know the Golden State Warriors hire Steve Kerr, and they take a huge astronomical leap, even further than the leap that Stephen Curry had taken the previous 2 years, where, of course, the Golden State Warriors win 67 games. They implement a more wide open offense. Stephen Curry wins the MVP. And I think that LeBron James was respectful of the fact that Stephen Curry won the MVP that season. Even though that was his first season back in Cleveland, there was not much that he could do to protest it because, once again, the Warriors won 67 games. Stephen Curry averaged somewhere around 24 points per game in around 32 or 33 minutes a game. I mean, he barely played. The vast majority of those games were such blowouts that he was out of the game by the early fourth quarter. Very rarely did he have to play a fourth quarter that year, that season. But then what I really think started to piss LeBron off pertaining to the Stephen Curry storyline was when the Golden State Warriors, number one, they defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals in 2015. In a finals series where LeBron James felt like he was overmatched, particularly after Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love went down in those playoffs, he lost. Of course, that's on his record. And then the next year, the Golden State Warriors come back and win 73 games, and they're even a better team. And then on top of that, Stephen Curry is the first unanimous NBA regular season MVP award winner. So that's the point that I think LeBron James started to feel threatened by Stephen Curry. He wasn't threatened, when Stephen Curry was just this young light-skinned kid out there in the Bay Area who was crossing people over and hitting step-back threes. Actually, in LeBron James's last year with the Heat, many of you brothers might remember this, there was a great regular season game that the Miami Heat played in Oracle where Stephen Curry and LeBron James traded quote-unquote game-winning shots until LeBron finally hit the game winner, a step-back three on the left side of the court over Iguodala. And after the game, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, they go and they speak to Stephen Curry, and LeBron James is making fun of Mario Chalmers because Stephen Curry crossed him over with a couple of hesitation dribbles. No, it was cool for him to banter with Steph because he didn't view him as a threat. But after 2015 and then going into the 2016 finals, it's very obvious that LeBron James viewed Stephen Curry as a threat. He viewed him as the person who was sitting in his throne and who the NBA media was trying to give his crown to. And if you guys remember, over the course of those finals, LeBron James went out of his way to verbally disrespect Stephen Curry as much as possible and try to intimidate him. Well, after the Golden State Warriors got Kevin Durant, the disrespect was reversed. You'll remember in the 2017 finals, Stephen Curry had LeBron James on an ISO, crossed him over, hit a layup, and did a high kick in the air and all those other things. 2018, Golden State goes back-to-back. They sweep LeBron. 2019, LeBron goes to the Lakers. Golden State basically has their last gasp as a dynasty. And in 2020, Stephen Curry gets hurt. So I don't even think that he had the opportunity to play against the Lakers last year. So all that being said, the dust is finally settled. And just like a boxing match, after the boxing match, everybody's friends because the victor realizes that his opponent is no longer a threat. Now LeBron James, I won't say that he's deferential to Steph Curry, but he feels secure enough to give Steph Curry his flowers now because I think that he believes in his quote-unquote heart of hearts that the Golden State Warriors will never be a real viable threat to him ever again. So that's the reason why, he and Steph are making this show of being buddy-buddy. LeBron James picked Steph Curry to be on his all-star team, of course, but there was a simmering rivalry between those two players circa 5 years ago, no doubt about it. So they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Last night was the first time that LeBron and Steph Curry have ever been on the same team, and the two were visibly enjoying every minute of it. After the game, LeBron tweeted, quote, "Finally got to share the floor with Steph Curry. Well overdue, and I loved every single second. Hashtag greatest shooter of all time." So Shannon, what did you make of all the love between LeBron and Steph here?
Skip him.
It basically was LeBron James's way of saying, Stephen Curry, I respect what you brought to the table. You're no longer a threat.
Surprise, LeBron has
always been full of shit.
Fascination with greatness. And I think the thing is that something Todd Christensen told me, he was a former tight end, great tight end with the Raiders, and he was commentating for NBC. He said, son, if you want to be great, catch the football. They can find anybody to block. LeBron understands what a unique and special talent Steph Curry is, because also in that hashtag, change the game by himself. He understands that shooting the basketball is the greatest art there is in basketball, Skip. Because, hell, dunking the ball, you're 6'9", you're 7 foot, you shouldn't be able to dunk the ball. But to shoot the ball with the consistency and the distance in which this man has shot it.
And the level of difficulty. Stephen Curry can shoot in a myriad of ways. Off the catch, off the dribble, going left, going right. It really is extraordinary.
And so, remember I said, Skip, I think the thing is that he's going to pick Steph because in all the All-Star games, he's never played with him.
Right, but he has to pick Steph. Who else is he going to pick? He can't pick KD. KD is the other team's captain, and he's hurt. He can't pick Kyrie Irving. He hates him. He can't pick James Harden because James Harden's not a starter. So it wasn't like he had that many options. He either was going to pick Stephen Curry first or he was going to pick Giannis first. One of those two guys.
Opportunity to make sure he might not get another opportunity, but he has an opportunity now to play with Steph Curry. LeBron has always had success, Skip, for the most part, with the exception of last year. What has he been surrounded with? Snipers, shooters.
Yep.
Mike Miller, Ray Allen, Shane Battier. You go back to Cleveland, J.R.
Right, but I have to stop you there, Shannon. I mean, come on. You're comparing Stephen Curry to Mike Miller and Shane Battier. Like, let's stop. If you're going to compare Stephen Curry to anybody, compare him to D. Wade. LeBron James has always been surrounded by, in the last 10 years, he's always been surrounded by other superstar level players. If he's not surrounded by a superstar level talent, he pouts and throws a fit. Everybody knows that.
He had shooters. And now he's surrounded by the greatest shooter of all time. Makes his job a lot easier. I posed the question, I wonder if LeBron had gone to the Warriors and not KD. Can you imagine LeBron with his passing and passing the ball to Steph and Clay? But Skip, I'm not surprised.
Right, but how would LeBron James respond to playing in a system that demanded constant ball movement and not one player controlling and dominating the basketball? How would he respond in playing in a system where he had to move without the basketball? How well would he and Draymond Green fit together on the same offense? Because we know, for the most part, the impact that Draymond brings on offense is that he runs the offense and he brings the ball up many times.
Both of these kids born in the exact same hospital in Akron, Ohio. He mentioned that.
Yes, because they were both placed under the same programming. It's not just because Del Curry was a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers at the time.
Kids born in Akron, but it was special, Skip. You can see the love. And look, and I know when I'm battling, shit, you ain't my friend. Damn, where you from? Kev, you born in the same hospital, same floor, same room.
Shit, Skip, baby, we could have came out the same coochie. We still not friends. Not till I win.
I'm trying to get something that you're trying to get, and you're trying to keep me from it. So LeBron, blocking shot, look at it like you tried that on me. But there's no question in my mind. LeBron.
No, that was off. LeBron blocked his shot, and it was Stephen Curry trying to make a layup after the whistle. And LeBron blocked his shot and looked at him and said, "You better put that up strong, little nigga." Hey, yo, that's when Steph knew that shit was real. LeBron said, you better put that up strong, little nigga.
That's the utmost respect for Steph Curry because he understands what he represents and the talent and the uniqueness and the greatness that's inside that young man. It was great to see. They sincerely, I'm watching Steph still with LeBron getting ready to do the powder toss. Yeah, the Michael Jordan powder toss that he stole. That's what you're talking about? And right there. And he shot the three when Steph shot the three and turned around. And he said, I did what you did. I did what you did, even though LeBron had stole it from him because Steph did it first. But it shows. Nice to see you acknowledge that. Level of respect. And by the way, Larry Bird and Michael Jordan used to do that move back in the 80s. They used to shoot jump shots and start running right back down the floor before the ball went through the basket. They genuinely happy for each other, and I believe they genuinely loved playing with each other last night.
Okay, I buy everything you said, but
I like when Skip starts speaking about LeBron after Shannon's finished, because Skip is like, okay, time for some truth. Enough of the bullshit. I'm not a LeBron James apologist like you, sir. We're not married.
Has been some history that has been detailed by my friend Brian Windhorst at ESPN over the years.
Yes.
And as you point out, they have clashed in finals games. Fairly regularly they have clashed, and you could see there's something going on. There was some tension there. There was a bit of a rivalry there. There was frustration on the part of LeBron James that he thought that this little dude's trying to take my spot. The NBA is trying to give him my spot, and I'm not ready to give it up. LeBron has respect for KD. He never really had respect for Steph as a peer. Between the two. So Brian Windhorst said this back in 2019, not that long ago, talking about LeBron versus Steph. And Brian's been strong on the fact that LeBron was a little resentful that Steph won the back-to-back MVPs because,
of course,
he was right in the race both times.
And he won.
No, he wasn't. In 2015 and 2016, Stephen Curry won the MVP awards, and it wasn't close. It wasn't even close. The second best player during the regular season for both of those years was James Harden. I know for a fact in 2015, James Harden was the second best player in the regular season. In 2016, you could kind of, sort of make a case for LeBron, but nah. 2016, I think KD also had a great year that year.
Unanimous when Carmelo took one vote for him, or he would have won it unanimous.
Thank you. Here's what Brian said, Brian Windrost, back in 2019. I don't know if the word is jealous is fair, because I don't think LeBron's jealous of anybody. I wouldn't say necessarily jealous. I would say resentful. LeBron has a victimization mentality, so he always thinks that people are trying to take something from him, that they're not willing to give him his just due, his just credit. That, but LeBron didn't think it was fair overall the way Steph was treated overall, because Steph has been really put up on a pedestal, right? So
he was for about 3 years, sure, but I think that they've kind of sort of taken him off of that pedestal the last 3 years, taking a lot of credit away from him, especially with the addition of Kevin Durant, to almost to the level where we've seen the media try to talk up Dame Lillard and act as if he's an equal to Stephen Curry, even though their career records are 25 wins for Stephen Curry to 8 wins for Dame Lillard. Like, it has not even been close. But if you let the media tell it, they're neck and neck when they're not. They faced off against each other multiple times in the playoffs without KD. Stephen Curry has never lost a game when he was playing in the series without KD. So, I mean, in 2019, he totally scraped Dame, averaged 36 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. And Dame averaged something like 21 points and shot about 38% from the field. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Continue with Brian. LeBron was like, what about me? LeBron was like, if I had delivered some of the eggs, or goose eggs, so to speak, that Steph delivered in the finals games over the years, I would be getting skewers.
He did.
Okay? And
well, Steph has been skewered for 2016. So I don't think that that's quite accurate what LeBron is saying there. As a matter of fact, I think that LeBron has pretty much gotten off easy for his performance in 2011, where he was horrific.
Gets away with it. That's LeBron's thinking about Steph.
Because you bring it up.
I
you look at
brought it
LeBron
up.
2011, and then you mentioned Steph's 2016.
Hey, Steph's 2016 was even worse than LeBron's 2011.
No, it was not. Don't go there, Skip Bayless. LeBron James 2011 was horrific. Let the record show once again, even after the Golden State Warriors won the championship in 2015, heading into the 2015-2016 season, they still were not the odds-on betting favorite to win the championship. The Cavaliers were. Why is that? Because the bettors knew that the Cavaliers had the better lineup on paper. This notion that the Cleveland Cavaliers upset the Golden State Warriors in the 2016 finals has always been phony and fugazi. They had the better team heading into the season. Supposedly they have the best player to ever play. The real question is, why did they underperform to such a high degree in the regular season? And even in the finals, they were underperforming until, for whatever reason, Steph Curry tapped out in Game 3 and disappeared. And then Games 5 and 7, he was equally as terrible.
LeBron's were in games
4,
5, and 6. This was 5, 6, and 7.
Right.
No, LeBron James was terrible in every game of that series in 2011. He was terrible. The dude got outplayed by Jason Terry and J.J. Barea.
3-1 lead.
But only you have been consistent when you talk about LeBron's 2011 and you talk about Steph's 2016. Only you have been consistent on
Nobody
that front.
seems to see that.
Nope.
I actually just got a text from a friend of mine who's very smart in Oakland. He really studies the Warriors. And he said, well, Steph was hurt in those 3 games.
And he was hurt. Beyond being hurt, he was injured. That knee injury that he suffered, where he severely strained, I think that it was his LCL and MCL, that would have kept most people out for at least 2 months. He came back after about 2.5 weeks and had that unbelievable performance in Portland. I think it was Game 4. I mean, he was able to really step his game up to a very high degree in the 2016 playoffs before the finals. And he's never been a physically dominant player.
Well, the great Shannon Sharp tells me, if you play, you play.
Yeah,
you know, like if you're out there, I can't give you any pass or excuse for that. I think he had a bum knee that he was dragging around. But still, If you can shoot, you can shoot.
Right.
Right, but he needs room. Stephen Curry is an explosive athlete horizontally, not vertically. He has to be able to move with ease horizontally. He has to be able to juke you and fake you out. With that knee issue, he couldn't do that. He couldn't even get past Kevin Love. If you guys remember one of the last plays of Game 7.
That guy, you're that guy. If you have 3 cracks at closing that deal, right. 2 of them at home with the 3-1 lead,
right.
and you're the man, you got to win one of them. I'm sorry, you just do. If you're up 3 games to 1,
and he's a transcendent player, because we'd see no one shoot the ball like he did. So he's transcendent. So he has to do things that other just great players. You ask great players to do a lot, but when you're LeBron, when you're Steph, you're Jordan, you're Kobe, you ask them to do a little more.
Right. So
I wouldn't put Steph in the Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe category. And that's part of the problem. People overrate him when it comes to what he's able to do. There's only so much that he's going to be able to do when he's not a vertically explosive athlete. He has to be compared more to the Isaiah Thomases. And one can make the case that when you compare him to Isaiah Thomas, that he would compare favorably in many categories.
And what's LeBron's MO? I was talking about it's the old motto of keep your friends close and your enemies closer, but
to a degree. But I just think that LeBron James looks at him now as, more of a has-been, or his team as a has-been. He still respects and honors what Stephen Curry can do, but I think that LeBron looks at the Golden State Warriors as a team whose time has passed.
Big is he's the face of the league. He's the ambassador of basketball. This is the feel-good event of the year. Yeah. It's in all of sports. No sport has a festival like the All-Star game, right? It's a celebration. So the last place you want to carry on any conflict, any bad blood, is here.
Right.
So is LeBron quicker to forgive and forget at an All-Star game?
Well, I think that that's one thing that Stephen Curry and LeBron James have in common. They both seem to be able to let bygones be bygones very easily.
He is. And he also knows he's in the power position now because...
Absolutely. That's the best thing that you've said thus far, Skip Bayless. That's the reason why LeBron is being nice to Stephen Curry.
Is without Clay.
Right.
Steph is obviously without KD anymore.
Right.
So Steph is up against it. So is Steph any threat to him in the West, really? I don't think so.
No, not right now.
Right?
Not right now.
Not
but like I said,
this year.
Skip, I think the thing is that LeBron understands what Steph is. And to get an opportunity to play with that, I'm not so sure if the question is, I love this format because I like to see, who the guy really like. If we're in the yard, it just goes to show you how they're going to actually pick, Skip. If we just choosing sides, I just want to know who's going to be first and who's going to be last. So we saw Giannis, but I'm like, that joker got Steph.
You took him.
And I was like, but I was always thinking, he's like, man, I never played with Steph. This might be my last best opportunity to get an opportunity to get him because, who knows, Steph might be the captain next year or somebody might take Steph before LeBron gets an opportunity if LeBron is fortunate enough to be the leading vote getter again. But LeBron understands that shooting is such a lost art. It's so great in that game.
Well, I'm not quite sure if we can call shooting a lost art, especially with so many people able to pull up from 25 feet now. So I don't think that I agree with that. I think, once again, LeBron knows that, his series of battles that he had with Stephen Curry's team, for the most part, they're over. LeBron is not planning on being in the NBA for that much longer. At least he doesn't expect for the recuperative powers of Stephen Curry and the Warriors to be anywhere near to the degree where he can be challenged for the rest of his career.
I get an opportunity to play with the greatest shooter. I get an opportunity to play with the greatest shooter. And even Giannis put out a post saying, hey, you're going to make a great GM. Look, they understand what LeBron has done, the visibility. He made it okay, Skip, because before LeBron, very few free agents were willing to leave, especially...
What does that have to do with the topic at hand, Shannon Sharp? Why are we talking about the impact that LeBron James had on free agency when we're speaking about him and Stephen Curry? Why? What you're saying makes no sense at all unless you're fishing for new ways to compliment LeBron James.
Shaq was the first, big time guy, like, booked it up out of town.
Yep.
But when LeBron did it, KD like, okay, I'm bouncing.
So is it possible LeBron has a little Steph envy? Because what is the one glitch in LeBron's game? He's not a great shooter.
Everybody got envy of Steph. But what have you seen, Skip? Everybody go try to find the next Steph. Find guys that can shoot. Analytics says threes are better than two. So even if you make 40% as opposed to 50% of your twos or 35 or whatever the analytics are, they're looking for guys like Steph Curry. That dunk it, Skip. They don't even want you to dunk the ball. They don't want you to shoot no mid-range shot.
Teams don't know how to run a fast break anymore. It's crazy to me. These guys get a steal or a long rebound. They're out on a 3-to-1 fast break, and you got two guys standing behind the three-point line. It's crazy. The NBA really has to think about doing something about it because it's making the game very unesthetically pleasing. It's tough to watch now. Nobody wants layups or dunks anymore. Everybody just wants to sit behind the three-point line. No one wants to see that. The real lost art of the NBA is the mid-range jump shot. That, to me, is the most aesthetically pleasing offensive play in the game of basketball, because what it implies is a mastery of some of the particular aspects of the game that others are not going to be willing to embrace. It's almost like in boxing, if you compare the three-point shot to an overhand right and maybe the dunk to a left hook, the free throw might be the jab. The mid-range just might be your overall boxing ability, because you have to mix it up in the boxing ring so that your opponent does not know what you're going to do, what you're going to throw. Same thing in basketball. You have to shoot mid-range jump shots so that your opponent cannot predict what you're going to do. You have the basketball right outside the three-point line. They think that you're going to pull up for three, but they're not quite sure, because you could take two hard dribbles and pull up. You take two hard dribbles, and they have to stay with you because they're not quite sure what you're going to do. Are you going to drive all the way to the cup, or are you going to pull up? The pull-up jump shot adds all of the nuance and the diversity to your offensive game. That's why every championship team has a mid-range jump shooter. Everyone, even in the Steph Curry three-point shooting era. When you look at the three Warriors teams that won the championship, all three teams had a great mid-range jump shooter. On the first team, it was Harrison Barnes. On the last two championship teams, it was Kevin Durant. The Lakers last year, their great mid-range jump shooter was Anthony Davis. Every great championship team has to have a great mid-range jump shooter. The Warriors lost the finals in 2016 because Harrison Barnes could not make a mid-range jump shot.
Go. What did LeBron tell Caruso? I ain't mad that he missed. I'm mad that he didn't back up and shoot the three for us to win the game.
But the two was to tie.
Yeah, I want no tie. If you don't want no tie. That's kissing Halle Berry through a screen. You ain't did nothing. You ain't touched the lip. Why you...
That joke would have been better for like 20, 25 years ago. Who the hell wants to kiss Halle Berry now? That broad is batshit crazy. I mean, she was batshit crazy back in the day, but at least she was young and pretty. Now she's just old, pretty, and crazy.
By the time I'm trying to win this game.
Yeah, but when you take a tie at that
point,
from a guy who's not known for making last-second shots, who's never taken one in his life.
Well, hell, if he ain't never made one in his life, well, hell, take it, make it miss a three. Don't take it, make it miss a two.
That was odd criticism.
Nah, LeBron's like, hey, and then I got a chance to play with Steph Curry. What'd I tell you, though? I told you we was surrounded with shooters. When LeBron getting them snipers, Dame Lillard, take that.
But what should have LeBron done on the Caruso play? He should have taken the shot.
Well, he took one the next night, and you said he took it.
Yo, LeBron really loved playing with Steph and Dame Lillard, though. Like, that dude, he played the first quarter, sat his ass down, and just started eating hamburgers and hot dogs and Twizzlers watching the game like he was watching the Suns play. He just let Steph and Dame handle the whole thing.
Straight, he took it too far. LeBron, you're better than that. You don't take no logo three. You criticize him taking a logo three.
He's just not a very good shooter. So I think he sits back and looks at Steph like, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, hell yeah, I'm sure he does.
You know, Skip, I'm so sick and tired of your damn criticism talking about LeBron not a good shooter. You know who's a good shooter? Me. Go ahead, walk up on our property unannounced. Bet your bottom dollar I don't miss my shot.
Yeah, it would be way over.
First of all, Skip,
you'd actually have a case for your goat.
You know good well, the good Lord wasn't going to give LeBron 6'9", 250, the ability to stay healthy like he does, the strength that he has, and be able to shoot the ball like that.
Well, the good Lord gave it to Kevin Durant, except for what you just said.
Yeah.
The ability to stay healthy.
Exactly.
Right? He's still out.
He's still out. So,
yes, every man has his gift, one after this and the other after that.
Skip, look, what Steph has been able to do at that size, because guards, small guards, don't normally dominate the league.
Nope.
There have been big guard, Magic, big guards, Oscar. But there have been very few. I mean, think about it. Allen Iverson, but didn't win a title. Isaiah, those are really the small guards.
No, I got it.
But this kid is what led team to champion.
That's why before his draft, I said, I'm taking that guy from Davidson, #1 overall, over Blake Griffin. And I think now we're about to talk about Blake Griffin. I think most people would say, I've got Steph.
And he go.
Of course. I mean, and Blake Griffin has had a very nice career, especially if he's able to go on and win a championship this season with the Nets. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. He won't be first ballot, but he'll get into the Hall. Or who knows, he might be first ballot.
For a major university, there's no question in my mind. He goes to UCLA and shooting the ball like that, Skip. He go.
No doubt about it. If Stephen Curry goes to Duke or UNC or UCLA, he's a #1 overall draft pick, no doubt about it. I remember watching him in college and, just being incredulous as to how much he was able to dominate a game. Like, he dominated in college. There are very few players in the history of the NBA who were dominant in both college and in the pros to the degree that he was. Like, he was like another Pistol Pete Maravich.
Carolina, he goes to Duke and he's shooting the ball like that. He going #1. But it caught this small.
He was shooting that way against Kansas in the NCAA.
he liked to get him up out of there.
He did.
So, but he's special. I'm glad to see. I'm glad LeBron got an opportunity to play with it, because that's what you want, Skip. I'm trying to think. We already plotted who we're gonna play with next year.
Little olive branch, a little.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, Skip. No, we plotting who we're gonna play with next year. Everybody but that crazy nigga Kyrie.
You try to keep controversy.
I'm not trying to keep it. I think there was.
There wasn't no beef.
It was under the surface last night.
We go.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of little goats.
Yeah.
And, we the big goat. We got the big horns. Big horn sheep. The big horn sheep, that's a goat. But we got the big antlers.
I don't think that goats have antlers. I think you're thinking about deer, but go ahead.
Get that.
The good Lord has given LeBron a lot.
No. Your guy got little antlers. The guy in Chicago got little antlers.
All-Star.
Shannon said Michael Jordan got little antlers.
For LeBron. So let's continue talking.
Even he can't keep a straight face with that dumb shit. Michael Jordan got little antlers. But anyway, peace.